Yo, bro, come on. The door's gotta be. Oh, yo, Velez. Oh, snap. Pass me. Watch your head. You good? It's about time.
Yeah, been going through a lot lately, looking towards the stars and asking for God to save me. Grateful for the life he's given, though it's all gravy. Favor for sure, but the destiny's a maybe. Yeah, my destiny, it may be locked behind the metal of this mic. I gotta say, speak life into the strings of this brain. Etch my soul into clean slates and paint every stain, everything I contain. I can't just mask it, putting beats in the caskets. I'm waking up for my classes, rather wait to make classics than just pass it like a point guard. They asking how I got so nasty, I just point. Yo, he's the reason that I'm breathing, seasoning in what's cooking, laces light in my lines and harness hope in every hook. So simply put, I'm just fishing for souls, manifesting on my destiny and mine and my goal. But brother, trust me, I know I keep in mind after mine it comes to refining. Grateful for my time in college, sharpened up my self-knowledge. I'm Daniel's son with the wax, won't leave a track till it's shining. Daniel's son with the pack, you'll find me sleeping with lions. I'm telling you I ain't lying. Something great soon come. DJ Khaled ain't got it. The major key, that's the sun. Oh, his beauty's bursting through horizons. What's soon to come is his arrival, but his rival knows that me and you are liable. If you call the duty in your loadout, pack your Bible. It's so reliable, never changing, even though we ever flaking. Yup, he knows we on that frosted, but he still hung on that cross, kid. Infiltrating the game is my mission, I accept it. Like IMF, I'm gon' cruise to the people ain't expecting. These mumble rappers on that XXL, they disrespectful. Cause underground, we got treasure that sadly gets neglected. These people patiently perfecting every syllable, writing from inside to accord the people umbilical. I got something I need to say, you gon' deny me? These whack rappers draining the game, but I know the IV. Yeah. I got something I think that I should say, you gon' deny me? These whack rappers draining the game, but I know the IV. I know the IV. I know the IV. Yeah, I know the IV. His name is God G. Yo, Loud Mouse, what's up?
All right. That was so good.
Thank you.
All right. So before we go into anything, I kind of want to just give you, give our viewers a general overview of who you are by way of your bio. So I'm going to read it.
Okay.
Isaiah Velez is a 25-year-old Nyack, New York native. He and his wife Francesca live in New City, New York, where Isaiah serves as the youth and young adults pastor at Risen King Alliance Church. As a man and follower of Jesus, Isaiah has withstood the challenges of life by expressing himself creatively through music. With numerous projects, singles on SoundCloud, and a handful of appearances on iTunes and Spotify, Isaiah aims to release music that speaks specifically to each heart, intentionally building up listeners through his art. He longs to encourage his audience, his generation, and the world by nuancing losses with lessons, sonically stating that the rough moments of life can gift us with the greatest amounts of knowledge, hope, and perseverance. Isaiah released 3 projects in 2020 in the midst of an entire pandemic, y'all. A collaborative EP with his wife to celebrate their 1-year anniversary entitled Still Here, an additional EP and community with his friends entitled Mark III, and lastly, a 13-track mixtape containing several songs that fell through the cracks of his creative process from 2015 to 2020 entitled Lost and Found. So today, we're actually going to talk about Lost and Found. So again, thank you, Isaiah, for joining us today.
Of course, it's an honor to be here.
Great. So everyone has a foundation when it comes to like their creative processes, whatever they're gifted to do. So I know that you didn't just wake up one day and say, hey, I want to create music. So what age did you begin to create music?
I would say it was around 13 or 14. and it wasn't anything professional or even recorded. It started off like, I'm sure many people's stories started off with like ciphers, rapping with friends on the way home from school or driving in the car. And I just love rap. I love the words. I just love the way that the words paint a picture and the rhythm behind it, and the way someone can intentionally make a line flow to paint a certain picture in a certain way. All of that, just the nuances of what rap is. And I know usually people just kind of go, oh, that's too loud. When you really listen, it's this thing that's so awesome and beautiful. And it grabbed my heart as soon as I heard it. So then I knew I wanted to try it. And I've always loved English in high school and in middle school, and poetry. So I really tried writing like my first song when I was like 15, and haven't stopped from there. And then I really got into the act of creating and recording and then releasing once I hit college, which was more like 2016 and 2017. So that's how long I've been doing this for.
Oh, great. So what is that, 10 years?
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. You put it like that, it's like a whole decade.
It's bugged out.
So right after that foundation, there's always a level of motivation. So what would you say is the motivating factor behind the creation of Lost and Found?
Well, Lost and Found is a very unique project in the fact that it is like your beautiful bio said, in terms of it being the result of what's fallen through the cracks of my creative process. Usually when I'm making a project or I'm making a song, it is to process life. Often I like to say my songs are journal entries, conversations with Jesus, sometimes Jesus's conversations with me. And a lot of the songs on the project are throughout the years, those conversations that never saw the light of day. I've just held them in my phone for a really long time. And I've shown them to people and they've been like, bro, why isn't this out yet? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just holding on to this for no reason. Like it never made its way to the light. So as 2020 was ending, after it being a crazy year, my motivation behind releasing it was I wanted to leave this behind so that I could step forward into whatever's next. And so that was like the big fight. And I'm pretty sure I got it done like 2 days to spare, like December 29th. So it was,
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to like put all of that together to actually like make this mixtape?
I would say it took me about 6 months to go in, and some songs had to be re-recorded. I had like drafts in my phone of some of them from like 2015, 2016. But then there were some that I had already done the grunt work of recording. And so it was really just the mixing process. Mm-hmm. I had initially wanted to release it on my birthday, which is June 28th. I wanted to do like halfway through the year type of deal. And, you know, life just came and we had other things we were working on. So I was like, let me be patient. So I'd say 6 months it took for me to really sit down and work on it. And then that last month, like that last 30 days, I just went overdrive. Like every moment I could, I was in the studio working on it. And so that's how long it took.
Okay. So your other album is called 36 L's, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what are the differences between that album and Lost and Found?
Okay, this is a great question. You're killing this. I just want you to know. 36 L's. I made that album from 2014 to 2017. Really like the last 2 years, so like 2016, 2017. And I just was in a different place. 2016, 27, what are we in, 2020? Yeah, it was like early 20s, 21, 20. And the Lord and I had journeyed through a lot already. My story is always intertwined in my music. It can't not be, but I feel like where I am now compared to where I was then, I've gotten over this idea of trying to explain how I feel through the music. And now it's more about like inviting people to feel what I'm feeling too. And so it's just less preachy like sometimes I listen to 36 L's and I'm like, yeah, I mean, you did that, but you could have, like, you didn't have to explain it. Like, you could have let them piece it together for themselves. I feel like I've gotten much better at that, and it's a product of the fact that, like, as you get older, a lot of the things that were more black and white become way more gray. And that was kind of my mentality behind the art of the album, the way that the album is split color-wise. On the front of the cover, it was just level of like, sometimes on this side, sometimes I'm on that side, sometimes I'm lost, and sometimes I get it and it's found. And then also these songs were lost tapes that finally are found. But I'd say that's the big difference between 36 L's and this project. I think I've gotten much more mature, so the place I write from is very different.
Okay, that sounds good. So yeah. I know that the audience tends to have like their favorite songs, but what's your favorite song on this project and why?
I have the track list right in front of me, and I knew you were gonna ask me this question, and I'm still not ready. I have two favorite songs. I love the first song, The Moving. Just a little story about that. I actually intended to put a different song, the first song that I ever wrote, which was with my best friend, Stephen Locke. And the two of us wrote it in like the annex where we used to, which was a part of Nyack College's Rockland campus, where you could sit on the piano, and we like got a room and we sat in there and we were playing around on the piano, playing around with beats. And Pineapple Street came out of us, and it was just the first song. We're like, whoa, what's that feeling of just creating a song together? This is like a God. We knew right there, like God had designed this friendship for more than just to be bros. Like there's a thing, a mission God's given us to do. Right. Felt like we touched it. So I really wanted to start the project with that song because it never saw the light of day outside of some performances at like open mics at the college. But when I went to go post it on SoundCloud, you know, just because of filters, the beat was not ours. And so it wouldn't let me upload it. And I tried everything I could possibly do to get this thing to go up, and it wouldn't go up. So I was like, dang, I need like this song. I need something to be the first song. So the day I was releasing it, the 31st, I sat down and I created a song that kind of encapsulates all 5 of the years through sound bites and videos that they play. Like if you put two headphones, you put the full headphones or the two AirPods in, you can hear, like, it feels like you're moving from 2015 to 2020 with me. And I was so like proud of myself for making that. And I feel like every time I listen to it, it's just a reminder. I know it's going to always be like a, like, you know, those time capsules that people do where they put stuff inside and then they dig a hole and put it in the ground and they come back to it years later. That's what this song is going to be like for me. And I think that's why I love it so much. And it didn't happen because I wanted it to. It happened because it had to happen. And I think that's really awesome. So that's one of my favorites. And the other one I'd say is Patient. Not a lot of people, I think it's the least played song on the whole project so far. And I get the least comments about it. I love that song because I wrote that song like on the verge of a breakdown. I was just so angry with just certain parts of life, trying to figure out how to be the person I know God's called me to be at this point in time. And so the song was a plea for patience to finally begin to erupt out of me. So every time I hear it, I just feel like it's very raw and honest. And it just takes me right back to that place. And it's like, yeah, like God has given me the patience that I was asking for, but sometimes you got to get ugly and be honest and be raw in order for that to happen. So those are my two.
Okay. You kind of like hit on one of the questions I was going to ask you, which is the next question. But what are some of the challenges that you faced during the creation process?
It's time. I have a full-time job, you know, youth pastor, young adults pastor. I'm a full-time husband, and that's fun too. So these things just demand time. And I think when you ask me about what's the difference between 36 L's and this project, and 36 L's, the production process, I was just in school. So it was just school and make music and hang with friends. But now it's a different season. So I think the hardest thing is to be good to myself get to the studio, to get to the creating process. And that's gotten harder as I've gotten older. So as I listen to the project, I'm grateful for the Lord getting me here and getting that out. I'd say that was really one of the biggest challenges for sure. The other thing is, I did all of the mixing and the production on the album for the first time by myself. 36 L's, I had like outsourced it and sent it to other people. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that process is great. I'm grateful for the people who helped me back in 2017. But there's nothing like when you have a picture in your head and you try to get someone else to draw it for you and it doesn't work out the way you want it to all the way. Right. And I wasn't willing to sacrifice that. So that's part of why it took so long too, because I'm teaching myself while doing it. And so that was a challenge. You know, I just get insecure about, is this mixed well? Does this sound good? Are people going to care about this? Does it sound like SoundCloud crap? Like, I don't want that to be the case. People to, you know, see it as something that I'm really passionate about and value it. And ultimately, I think it came together and I'm proud of the end result. And I think it's because of those challenges that it was as rewarding as it was. So,
yeah, but I mean, to do all of that in 6 months is pretty impressive.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I had lots of time to practice, and there's still so much more to learn, but I am grateful for the fact that I made it through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you compose the actual music yourself, or do you just write the lyrics? Or you do both?
So for this specific project, and this is also this is my I've been telling people it's my farewell letter to SoundCloud. I've been making music on SoundCloud for a long time. It's free. It's easy to use. I have a fan base on there. People are used to, Isaiah's music is going to be on SoundCloud, but I'm kind of ready to transition now to like streaming services, start to try to make some money from this. So this specific project, because it was from 2015 till now, it contains beats that were downloaded or bought off of YouTube from other beat makers. Mm-hmm. But then there's also some on there, which is me, and which is some of my buddies have made something for me, and I've been in the room, we've created it together. And so that's another part of the journey that's been interesting, just learning the difference between a beat maker and a producer. I think I used to think a producer was the one who made the beat, but like the beat maker is the beat maker, and then the producers are the people who put all of it together with the creative vision, with the beat being a part of that. And I think like that's what I was. This is the first project I have executively produced for myself. So that's what that looks like.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said that you're a youth pastor, and I read that in your bio as well. So do you find any connections between being a youth pastor and a Christian rapper?
Yeah. It's so funny. Even when you say Christian rapper, right? I go, what? I feel like I'm not, I don't want to steal like Chance the Rapper or like Andy Mineo's words, which are, both Christian rappers in my opinion, but at this point, but I feel like I'm a rapper who loves Jesus and am a Christian. So there's no way that my faith won't emerge in my music. It's just not possible. I would be disingenuous to not include that. Mm-hmm. But I just feel like I'm a rapper. And so then as a rapper, and the way I process life in that creative way, as a youth pastor, yes, there's a nice little dance that happens between those two for sure. And it's multifaceted. I mean, I have a relationship with these kids and they love music. There's some of them that do rap and perform and stuff like that. So it's cool because they inspire me. I hope to inspire them, and that plays a role in what I might try in the studio. Right. But then also I'm getting older. I mean, I'm not old, I'm 25, but when I became a youth pastor, I was 21. And when I dropped 36 L's, I was 21 that same year. And over the past 4 years of being a youth pastor, I start to kind of lose touch with what is cool or what is trendy right now in terms of music. But they never let me forget it, because if I make something and it sounds outdated, they're not going to hesitate to say, yeah, but you could try this. Like, have you tried that? And so I love that. I love being exposed to the generation that is behind me, because they help me to become a more the cross-generational leader, cross-generational artist, all that good stuff. So yeah.
Okay. So how would you say that you've grown as a person due to your music?
You are asking some fire questions. Okay, you said how have I grown as a person through or due to the music?
Due to your music, through your music, whichever.
The music, the music, because it's like a journal entry, it is simultaneously a checkpoint. Each song is a checkpoint, something I learned.
Okay.
So, and I think that's why this project is cool. I feel like I did a great job without doing anything. It was just me living. That's what this is. These songs are just a process and a product of me living life. But you listen to 2015 Isaiah, and then you listen to 2020 Isaiah, and you can hear a different Isaiah. And as I should, right? Or as you should. So they're checkpoint journal entries, moments, logs, places where it's like, this is where I was at. But at the same time, if I don't process life in this form, I feel like I'm stuffed up, like I'm suppressing and I'm holding on. I have this like funny story of when me and my wife were first starting to date. We had dated for like maybe 6 months at this point. And I was just real grumpy at one point. And she like drove me over to Partington, where the studio was, and at the college in the Rockland campus. And she was like, all right, yeah, go make a song, because I can't stand you right now. And I was like, dang, that's hard. Like, that's crazy. You know, and I'm pretty sure one of the songs is on the project that was from that time, like 2018. So if I don't process like this, which is the way I think God has designed me, then I don't grow. I stay stuck sometimes. I can't grieve. This is one of the ways I grieve. And I've realized how important grieving is. And then it's also one of the ways that I celebrate, because there's like a dance that grieving and celebration do, because they're both this act of processing what's happened, which then opens you up for more growth and to have a bigger and larger capacity to experience life. And so I think that's how the music also has helped me to grow. It is one of the many ways that the Lord has taught me to live. And taught me to learn. It is growth in a lot of ways.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's next for you?
Yeah, you know. No, I got an album. I mean, you know, this is one of those things where you don't want to say when, because then you lock yourself into things. But I legit do. Yeah, well, you know, like, yeah, it's coming. You know what I'm talking about? But this year I have my next album, like legit. Like, I'd say I keep using the terminology mixtape or playlist for Lost and Found. And I'd say like 36 Hours was an album. But in the music world, I don't have a debut album, because a debut album would be what then premieres, that I sell and that like I put on streaming services. So I'd like to drop my debut album this year. And I'm shooting for the summer. So yes, I've been working on it for about 1.5 years. And it's coming together, and I'm trying to just be faithful to God's timing. And like I said, make sure I put myself where I need to be so I can be motivated. And I'm taking my time, not rushing anything. So that's definitely what's next for me. But I always say this to people. Like, people go, would you want to do this for like a living? And I don't think I'd be able to, because it's too sacred to me. Like, it's too sacred to me for me to compromise it with like it becoming a source of a salary. I think there will always be music coming out of me, because it is step in step with life for me. So I know I'll always make music in some way. So the sky's the limit at this point in time. So that's kind of what my idea is for music going forward.
Yeah. So I have one more question for you, and we're done.
Bet.
Do you have any advice for new emerging artists, preferably in our generation or the generation coming up?
Yeah. You got to stay true to yourself. If you're not staying true to yourself, and like right from the beginning, you're trying to be like, sound like, move like other people, you're already setting yourself up to trip in some way, shape, or form. And I think, don't get me wrong, being inspired is important. So surrounding yourself or listening to things that inspire you is really great. But no one has your voice, you know? So I just would say, just give it a shot. In college, we had a group called Loudmouths, and I shout them out at that end of that video we just watched. And that was what it was all about. Like, you don't need to be this perfect wordsmith. You just got to start somewhere and use the voice that you have. And that would be the advice I would give. Just try, just play around, just give it a shot. I mean, even if you've heard stuff like, oh, you don't know how to sing, or that wasn't too great, don't let those things stop you, because at the end of the day, it's not just about creating something, it's about releasing something that's on the inside. And ultimately, whatever you release is going to help at least one heart in this world when you release it. And I think that that's why God gives us these gifts in the first place, because that glorifies him. So that's my advice.